Yep. Okay. No, it's, you know what? It's fine. You guys are real funny. You guys are real cookie. MCU characters you want. Okay. Okay. You know, that's fine. MCU characters what you want. You know, the problem is you go. Okay, so you need all the Avengers. Okay, we're tier list ranking all the Avengers. That's fine. That's fine. And then you go, well, you need the villains as well. If you're doing all the MCU characters, you need the heroes and the villains, okay? And that's fine. That's fine. That's great. That's fine. But then you want the side characters too. You don't just want the main heroes and the main villains. You want some of the other side characters interspersed in there. Where do you stop? I don't know. I don't know where you stop. And now we've got 195 characters. That's too many characters, man. You don't know some of these people. I don't know some of these people. I've been sitting here for an hour trying to make sure that I have at least a vague idea who most of these things... But I don't. I don't know. So... Good. Good so. Oops. So, yeah. We got all these characters. We got... I mean, if you had that many characters, you kind of need a few extra tiers than normal. So we've got 10. Got out of 10. We'll mark them out of 10. Based on what? I don't know. You know, on power set is something. No, not all the Stan Lee cameos. There is one in there. I think it's the one where he was like talking to the Watcher or whatever. But yeah, so we got everyone. We got everyone. We got everything here. We got way too many characters. But we're going to base it on, you know, power set to some degree. Not entirely, though, because then you'd have to give, like, Odin a 10 out of 10. I also want to base it on, like, likability as a character, you know, how much of an actual character they have, etc. There are a lot of things behind it. It's not really a set list of things. Hey, William, how's it going? You should be ranking those instead with the Stan Lee cameos. I could, but it would be pretty short. Right, so, I mean, right. I've organized these piles, so at least we kind of can go through them in some kind of order, you know. It's ridiculous. So we've got the Iron Man characters first here. Yeah, I'm good, William. I'm good. Yeah, we've got Iron Man characters all the way along to about there. And then we've got, like, Hulk characters. And then it goes into Thor-related characters. Ant-Man characters. Yeah, the Guardians characters. Then Doctor Strange. Then Black Panther. Then Spider-Man. Then Captain Marvel. Then there's kind of a few that you don't really go in any of those categories. You know, Hawkeye, Black Widow, the like. And then, like, Captain America stuff. So we just gotta start. We just gotta go. So I mean, we can start pretty simple. No, that's not right. There it is. Okay. We need a baseline for each tier so that we know what level you have to be on to make it on each tier. So I mean, Iron Man is a simple 10. It's a good start. It's obvious. It's not, you don't even question that. I don't know what a 9 is necessarily. I don't know if any of these other Iron Man related characters are a 9. I'm trying to think. Rhodey is kind of an 8. He's maybe an 8. I could see Rhodey being an 8. Real shame Iron Man will never fight his arch enemy, the Mandarin, in the MCU. It is. But it's useful in a way because they've been able to save the Mandarin for Shang-Chi now. And that kind of gives quite a major Marvel Comics villain to him for his first film, which is useful at the same time. I think War Machine's kind of an 8 as a character overall. Pepper's probably not far off that, but she's kind of been inconsistent as a character throughout. She was introduced so early, right at the start. But she really been all over the place. Been out. They broke up and stuff just because Gwyneth Paltrow didn't want to come back or whatever, and then she did in a big way. But you're probably talking like a 7, which is pretty good for the superheroes' love interests. They're not generally going to get that high if that's all they are. Pepper is more consistent than most of them, but still. Happy is also a pretty good character, not as good, so that's probably the stage where we're talking like 5 or 6. I'm gonna be kind and go 6. He's fine. He's fine. It was nice in Far From Home as a kind of bridge between Spider-Man and Iron Man, since Iron Man's dead. A lot of these other characters, wow. Yeah, you're right. Without Mandarin, Iron Man didn't have good villains. Aldrich Killian, Whiplash, Justin Hammer, Ironmonger. These are bad villains. Look, okay. I mean, you got Stern. Stern, okay? Simple one. Stern is that senator from Iron Man 2 who's a real bitch. He's a real little bitch. So he's just a 1. That seems pretty simple. Best Marvel character is Superman. Get out of here, Spaggin! So right. The villains, I don't even know who I'd say I prefer. I guess Aldrich Killian. He's still not a good character or anything. Maybe he can have a 5, so that we can differentiate the villains here. Maybe he can have a 5, and then Ironmonger's like a 4, and Whiplash. I mean, Whiplash is like a pretty freaking bad. Maybe a 2. You never got a chance to fight Crimson Dynamo, one of my favorite villains. Yeah. Well, I mean, any of these villains that he didn't fight, they could save for Ironheart or for Rhodey in Armor Wars, or for just a different hero, just a completely different hero, not involved with Iron Man at all. There's a lot of options. But yeah, this is kind of tricky here. Gosh. I mean, there's only so high you can put some of these characters. I mean, Ho Yinsen is a pretty good character for what he was. He's the one that helps Iron Man build his first suit in the cave, and then he dies. A pretty heroic guy in his own way for what we saw of him. So I'm willing to put him as high as a 5. Put him on a 5. Slightly kind, but I'll put him on a 5. Raza and Abubakar. Okay, they're just 10 rings guys. They might come up again, mentioned in the Shang-Chi film, because 10 rings is what Mandarin's meant to lead. But they really were just very much secondary villains. So I kind of there and there. They're nothing characters. Well, yeah, but you've got to really hate the character for a 1. I think maybe more like that. Nothing characters are kind of 2, 3. Poe is a good Marvel character. Spaghetti. Ironmonger was pretty much wanted to own Stark International. Yeah, pretty much. Jarvis is a fine character. Not Vision, just Jarvis as he was before he became Vision. I mean, he was just an AI. He's not quite a nothing character, maybe, but he probably doesn't really go above, like, a 4, right? You guys feel free to jump in here at any point, but I mean, I'm just kind of rolling with getting an idea about where the different types of characters go. 2 and 3 is kind of the nothing characters, or pretty shit ones. Would you consider casting the Winter Guard for the MCU? They're essentially the Russian Avengers. Could look into it. Might be interesting. I'm not sure. I was going to do like a Dark Avengers fan cast soon, maybe. Consider that one first. But there's other Marvel teams in the comics that you could look into after that, for sure. William Ginter Riva. God, I couldn't have told you that was his name. He's the guy that Ironmonger gets to build him his, like, big fat Iron Man suit, his Ironmonger suit. Again, he's a nothing character. I don't even remember him. So, this... You just kind of got to dump some of these ones in like 2 or 3 because it's only the ones that really deserve the one that get the one, not because you don't remember them. Friday is... I quite like Friday. I'd put her on like the same level as an AI as Jarvis. Green Lantern B. God damn it, Spigot. What else? I mean, Helen Cho isn't really an Iron Man character. She's just in Age of Ultron and kind of works with him and Hulk, so I just shoved her in here. A few characters don't really belong in any of the character listings. Helen Cho was fine, again. She kind of made a couple jokes. She seemed quite funny. For what she was, you can't put her any higher than a 5, but maybe we could put her on like a 5. I'd put her in a similar boat to Ho Yinsen. Less useful, less heroic, but at the same time, she's quite funny. She's a nice character. Too many characters. There's too many characters. Miriam Sharp is an absolute nothing character. Her son died in Sokovia, and she confronted Tony in Civil War. So she's only in a Captain America film, but she only interacts with Iron Man. And again, she's a nothing character. The intensity with which she talks, Alfred Woodard, good actor. But yeah, we'll give her the 3 out of actually remembering her, I guess, over some of these 2s that we didn't, or I didn't. Jarvis was loosely based on 2 characters from the comics: Tony's original AI Homer and the Stark family butler Edwin Jarvis. Yeah, he's here as well. Jarvis, the actual person, who was kind of hanging around more with Howard, and he's in Endgame, so that's why he's here. Because the TV characters aren't here. If you start getting into the TV characters, there's just a lot of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. characters most of you guys will never have heard of because you probably haven't watched the whole show. And then there's all the other shows, some of which I haven't watched. I never watched Cloak and Dagger. So I've just no idea. So we're not going to get too much into that. But Jarvis was in Endgame. As a character in Endgame, he seemed fine. I remembered his existence, which is good. So I get he could go like 4. Just same as AI Jarvis. I like him well enough. James Darcy's a good actor. Fine. Fine. Justin Hammer's kind of tricky. Because you really hate Justin Hammer. But in the way you're meant to. I don't love him as a villain. But he's probably as good as like Aldrich Killian, right? Iron Man characters suck. They really suck. Oh, yeah, there's a car horn. I don't know what it is. Yeah, Iron Man characters, like, these are the 4 that are you give a shit about at all in those films, in that whole trilogy. Everyone else, it's a bad time. Anton Vanko is Whiplash's dad. He was in Iron Man 2. They made Justin Hammer gay in the MCU? Did they? I don't remember it coming up. Okay. Yeah, Vanko, I mean, he's just so totally forgettable as well. He worked with Howard Stark in a flashback in Iron Man 2. That's all the character he got, and that's all the character he needed, apparently, to get a place on this list. I didn't make this. All these characters, this was all put in as a template on this site by somebody else. I'm just using what they had, because this is the best one. Dr. Eggman is a good Marvel bad guy. God damn it, Spaggett, what's up with you today? Eric Savin is the guy in Iron Man 3 that Killian sent to attack Iron Man and then blow up Air Force One. He did flirt at Ivan. Oh, I kind of thought that was more of a kooky weird character choice over him actually being gay. I didn't think it was an actually serious flirting, but man, maybe you're right. Yeah, Savin was fine. He was very much just this guy who was there because Killian didn't want to do all the work himself or reveal himself or whatever. But, I mean, still better than Whiplash, right? And so maybe we'll give him a 3. Harley Keener. People seem to like Harley Keener. He named it Jarvis after the butler as tribute after Natasha shot him in the head because he was like a second father to him because of how crappy a father Howard was. Wow. That sounds about right. That sounds good. Wow. What am I doing wrong? God damn it, Spaggin. You know. Yeah, Harley Keener's actually, he was an okay character. He was funny enough. The kid. I would maybe put him on Happy's level. Maybe slightly mean to Happy, but Happy's not that great a character most of the time. In Far From Home, he was nice enough. The end of Endgame with Morgan, it was a delightful moment, but he's not that great a character. I like Jon Favreau, but more as a director. He's done some good acting. Maya Hansen is another villain from Iron Man 3. She's a nothing villain. Wait, right? Yeah, Maya Hansen, she's the kind of one that turns on him, the scientist. A nothing character, but not a bad one. If they're nothing character and we don't like them, they go in 2. If they're nothing character and we like them, they go in 3. That's pretty much it. Or if they're nothing character or kind of an outside character and we really like them, they can go maybe 4. Maybe 4, some of these guys. That's about it, really. Ellen Brandt she was kind of scary. She was a kind of scary Iron Man 3 villain. I'd almost say she's on the level of, like, Killian as an actual character that you remember from the film. So Spider-Man, DC, or Marvel, spag it. Come on, really? Surely nobody doesn't know that. Yeah, well, probably can't really put her on 5, but I'll put her on 4. That seems fair. Matthew Ellis is the president. In the MCU, he's the president of the United States. He doesn't really come up often. It became a thing in Iron Man 3. They really got down low enough, didn't know enough what to do with Tony Stark that they had to actually have him save the president. So they introduced the president for the whole MCU, and he did not come up since. Not really, nope. You'd think in a world full of superheroes with all these intergalactic huge events going on that the president would come up more often than that one time out of 23 films, but okay. So, I mean, he's a nothing character, not one we particularly dislike, not one I really remembered that much, so he's maybe a 3 as well. We're really going to fill up that 2, 3, 4 area. Honestly, yeah. Trevor! No. Trevor Slattery is one that's quite divisive. One Spider-Man owned by DC. No! Yeah, Trevor Slattery, he could be a 1 or he could be like a 5 or 6, depending on how you felt about that whole thing. I thought that after a shitty Whiplash in Iron Man 2 and not very interesting Ironmonger in Iron Man 1, that they probably should have just used the Mandarin, the actual Mandarin in Iron Man 3, instead of pulling the whole bait and switch weird thing. They have a fictional president, so it won't be dated. Yeah, although in the MCU canon page about him, I looked it up and it says he replaced Obama. But he would have had to do it in 2012. So it's a whole thing. But yeah, Trevor, I don't dislike him, despite... I do think that... I don't know, I'm not a nerd. Dude. Surely modern day, it's just general pop culture to know that Spider-Man and Marvel, though, right? Really? Do you not watch any of the films? Yeah, so Trevor, I don't know. I don't hate him despite being annoyed that they didn't ever use Mandarin or a good villain for an Iron Man film. But I'll still give him the 4. Yeah, I'm not going to go higher than that. It's weird to me to say Aldrich Killian's the best Iron Man villain. Really? But yeah, probably. I haven't had a thing for cockatoos, very true. Justice League, Superman, Green Lantern, DC, Spider-Man, Avengers, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Marvel. There you go. There you go, Spaggett. An explanation in chat. Morgan Stark is a delightful character. She really... I love you 3000. Come on. Don't do that to me. There's only so high you can put her again for being this, I'll maybe go like 7. It's pretty kind for a character who's only in maybe 8 minutes of screen time, but it seems fair. It seems fair. She is a great character. She is a very beloved character. Having said that, yeah, that's kind. Ultron, Ultron is not great or terrible. Is he a better villain overall than Aldrich Killian or Ironmonger or Trevor Slattery? Yeah, probably. A 6 is maybe slightly kind for him, but I think he deserves to go above any of them. He was okay. He should have been a really good villain. I think that's what everyone gets mixed up in their heads. As an Avengers film, Age of Ultron is disappointing. As another film in the MCU with, I don't think it's actually that low in the ranking of films for the MCU, Age of Ultron. And I think Ultron was a fine villain. He's not great, and from the trailers, it looked like he could have been really great. Big, big, memorable one, and he wasn't overly, but he's still better than Aldrich Killian or any of the Iron Man movie ones. I hope we see Morgan grow up and become the new Rescue. I think there's a chance. They almost brought in Catherine Langford from 13 Reasons Why to do a scene as a grown-up version of her. When Tony was like dying, he would see her in the Soul Stone. And I wouldn't have liked it if they had done that. But it is an interesting possibility that we could see her in the future. The thing is, they're doing Ironheart as a series, and they've got Armor Wars and Spider-Man's kind of as a successor, so they've got a lot of Tony Stark's successors already. So it might be a bit strange to bring her back in as another Tony Stark successor, but you never know. Okay, finishing up the Iron Man section. Howard Stark's a complicated character. Yeah, you've got both versions as well. You've got Dominic Cooper playing the younger one in different things, and you've got what is his name? Slattery, John Slattery, is that it? As the older one, and he's not like a great character, but he's pretty funny when he's around, especially as Dominic Cooper, the younger version, and he does what he needs to, and it gives you this emotional connection to Tony's parents that you don't have with almost any of the other MCU heroes, right? That's the most intimate parents relationship that we talk about for any of them, I think. So yeah, I'm okay with giving him maybe like a 6 as well. I think that looks about right for all the Iron Man characters. It's, we love Iron Man. The rest of his characters generally, they're not great, are they? But it only gets worse from here, because now it's the Hulk characters, and Hulk characters are Hank Pym created Ultron in the comics. Yeah. Didn't redo that, but it was kind of more interesting seeing Tony for the MCU do it. Just wish that it hadn't been so fine, and it should have been better. But right, so we've kind of got a bit of a strange one here, because they've put Bruce Banner and Smart Hulk as the one character, but then they've got Hulk later as a different character. So Bruce Banner / Smart Hulk, good character. Good character. Funny at times, as Smart Hulk. Bruce, overall, yeah, you've got to take into account Incredible Hulk as well. Not just the Ruffalo version, you've got to take Incredible Hulk into account. I probably am going 8. He's good. But the best Hulk moments are when he's Hulk, which is that character. It's different here. So I kind of think maybe there. Emil Blonsky / Abomination was a thing that happened. It's another villain that's not the worst villain in the MCU. He's close. He is close. It's probably Whiplash is the worst main villain you'll get, but he's probably a 3. He's probably a 3. I don't think he's going any higher than that, honestly. It's not good. Betty Ross, wow. That really shows you how old the MCU is. At the start of the MCU, Liv Tyler was still relevant as an actor. That is, wow. Whoa-wee. Betty was okay. She's a throwaway love interest. It was a one-off. We never, ever bring her up once Ruffalo takes over. Abomination looks nothing like that in the comics, yeah. I hope we get more Hulk villains in the MCU, such as Leader and Gargoyle. It's possible, with the She-Hulk series coming in, there's possibilities for Hulkling or Totally Awesome Hulk. You never know. Hey Teddy, how's it going? Yeah, Betty's she's not a interesting or useful character. I'm inclined to put her on a 3 as well. She was okay while she was there. I was not sad that she never came back. So that'll work. It'd be weird now, right? If suddenly, after all these years of having Ruffalo's Hulk on screen, if suddenly he interacted with her again. Oh, that'd be strange. I don't think I'd like it. I think it's best to just leave the Incredible Hulk in the past as much as possible. You've got these other characters. Frankly, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. Stanley Lieber. What is Stern from? Stern? What? Samuel Stearns? These are all Hulk characters along here. These are all these guys are from the Incredible Hulk. None of them are, they're all throwaway characters. A-Bomb would be another cool character for the She-Hulk series. Yeah, there's lots of options. So Stanley Lieber, I believe, is the guy in the Incredible Hulk that helps him out, lets him stay for the night in his house or whatever. These are throwaway characters. We don't really hate them, so we're not going to put them in one, but they're throwaway characters. Tough Guy Leader is another. He was just around in the Incredible Hulk. The only guy in 1 out of 10. Oh, Stern. He's the senator from Iron Man 2 who was like a real bitch trying to talk to Tony in the hearings. Yeah. I actually do remember him, and I really dislike him, but he is throwaway. It all works together for the one. These characters, Whiplash is a main character, but I really don't like him. But he's not quite a one, I don't think. These other characters are mostly just throwaway ones that I don't like overall, generally. Never watched that film. Iron Man 2? Oh, okay. Martina kind of is Bruce Banner's colleague. I'm not going to spend time on these. These are not useful characters. And Leonard Sampson is the guy who was dating Betty and then informed on Bruce. So maybe he goes in one. He was a real dick. Samuel Stearns is the guy who would become the leader. Doesn't. Never came back. Might be in the raft for all we know. Wasn't he in Captain America the Winter Soldier? Who? Stern? Tough Guy Leader? Who? I don't think so. There might be one or two of these I'm messing up who they are, what they were in. But I think Stern was in Iron Man 2. He might have been in Captain America Winter Soldier as well at some point. Not sure. Is Mark Zuckerberg part of Marvel? No, Spaggot. Mark Zuckerberg is not part of Marvel. He's another, a 2. Probably not really a 1, but he is throwaway beyond all belief. The Senator? Him? I don't think he was in Winter Soldier. Maybe he was in that as well. I was pretty sure he was the guy from Iron Man 2 that questioned him in the hearings and Tony just laughed him off. He might have been in both. General Ross is more of a character. He's the only other character besides Bruce Banner who is the only actor who's in the Incredible Hulk that's really been in any of the rest of the MCU. And he kind of keeps turning up now and again. He's not really a likable character or a dislikable character. He kind of goes in like a 4 territory, maybe. Seems okay. I finished The Office today. Cool. Hulk, on the other hand, proper Hulk, funny Hulk. He does the funny bits. He did the puny god. He did all the Ragnarok stuff. Naked Hulk in the bathtub. He's probably our first 9. I don't think he's quite a 10. But he's very good. He's very funny when he's around. He's very useful when he's around. Huge power set, all the shenanigans. I think he's a 9. Bruce Banner is an 8. We do like Hulk more. It's mean to say, but he whispered Hail Hydra. Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. There were a few people like that appeared suddenly to say Hail Hydra and stuff. But yeah. We need MODOK in the MCU taking leadership of AIM after Killian's death. I don't know if they're going to bring back much from the Iron Man films. They're kind of bringing back the 10 Rings to do in Shang-Chi with proper Mandarin, but that's a bit different. I don't know if they'll bring back anything to do with AIM, but they could. They could have MODOK. It's kind of hard character to do in live action, but they might try it. Thor is probably just a 10. Just quite simply a 10. I wouldn't have said he was before Ragnarok. Ragnarok changed things, and then Infinity War and Endgame as well. They let Chris Hemsworth be funny, because Chris Hemsworth's really funny, and they finally let him be funny. Before that, not so much. I'd still put him high, but Thor as he is in Thor and Dark World and the first Avengers, he's not a 10, but he definitely came into his own. Through Ragnarok and through Taika Waititi, our Lord and Savior. So yeah, he's a 10. Jane Foster is a character that's going to get higher ranking as time goes on, I feel. For now, she's not a throwaway love interest, not as much as Betty Ross. She still gets mentioned. She got mentioned in Endgame. And she is going to come back to take over and be female Thor. in Love and Thunder upcoming, which is really exciting. I didn't think they were going to get Natalie Portman to come back at all, but they are. As a character, from what we've seen so far, she's likable. She's definitely likable. She's not overly useful. Jermaine Clement as MODOK would be awesome. That could work. Jane Foster, I can't put her high right now. If we see her as female Thor, if she takes over, if we see more of her, she could be really, really good. Right now, I'd still say she's below Pepper, so she's probably a 6. Odin, yeah. Love and Thunder's being filmed in Australia. It is, yeah. Keep hearing news about them spotting people out there filming it and all sorts. Odin, you can't really put that highly. He's not likable. He's not a likable character overall. He's fine. There's not a huge amount of personality there, just being strict and powerful. Strict and powerful. But I'd probably go like a 5. Grandmaster is like that. He's very powerful, he's strict, but at the same time he's got more personality, doesn't he? Despite being in the MCU for less time overall, he's pretty good. He's pretty good overall. So I'd maybe give him a 6. I'd say I appreciate Grandmaster on a level similar to like Howard Stark. That makes sense. Darcy Lewis is a fantastic character. It's kind of cheating slightly to use her appearance in WandaVision and how funny she was in that and how great she was in that as a character. But she's actually really great. I really like her as a character. Still, it is hard to put her above Jane. I might do it. I might just do it. I might just go ahead and do it. Jane will obviously, if she becomes female Thor, and that becomes a major MCU character for years to come, she'll move up from this placement. I can see that happening. But from what we've seen of her so far, I think I maybe prefer Darcy Lewis. I really like Darcy. Laufey is an absolute throwaway villain. He's not even, he's not even the main villain in the first Thor film. He's just there for a minute. Just like a 3, I guess. Grandmaster replaced Red King as the leader of Ragnarok. Yeah, did indeed. It was an interesting choice, though, and it worked well, given it was Jeff Goldblum. It was so funny. Eric Selvig's another likable character. My favourite Marvel movie is Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh, thank God. That is a Marvel movie. Good job, Spaggett. Eric Selvig's a nice enough character. He's likable. He's got his funny moments, like when he went crazy and stripped naked in The Dark World. Kind of got thrown away, mostly after that. Haven't really seen him about, have we? But he was likable. He was in 3 films as well. It's not a complete throwaway character. But probably less than Jane or Darcy, so I'll put him on a 5. Yeah. Sif got screwed. Sif got screwed. She could have been a huge character, but they had Jane Foster. So they didn't have Sif as a love interest. They had her as a wannabe love interest, which made her a slightly more depressing character. We didn't get to see, she's just gone. I think she is actually maybe coming back for Love and Thunder suddenly, which is a shock. But she just disappeared, and then they had Jane, and then she disappeared as well. Ragnarok really shifted things up. A lot of these characters just vanished. Sif was a nice character while she was around, though. I liked her. I think Jamie Alexander's good. I'm going to put her on a 5 as well. Again, I don't like her as much as Jane, but she definitely got screwed. she got screwed. Sif got screwed. Malekith. Oh my God. Malekith. It's tempting to put Malekith on a 2. Same as Whiplash. Honestly, maybe. He's on that level of awful villain. Useless villain. Really shitty. Yeah, I think that makes sense. We need Enchantress in the MCU. I thought at one point we were going to get her. I thought they were going to do her for Ragnarok and then they changed their minds or something. Yeah, but that would be useful. But she kind of often hangs around with Scourge, who's dead now, right? So, not sure what they'll do with that. Anyway, now there's some of these real throwaway Thor characters you probably don't remember that well. Ian was Darcy's assistant. Darcy was an assistant, and he was her assistant in The Dark World. He was just there for a few minutes. He was kind of funny, but he was throwaway, so we'll put him on 3. Richard Madison was absolutely hilarious. Chris O'Dowd is a treasure, a national treasure. And he was funny in The Dark World. But again, he was definitely a throwaway character, so I'll probably just leave him on 3 as well. Curse was also in The Dark World. All these Thor characters you forget, they're all in The Dark World. We need Spider-Man in the MCU. He's there. He's already in it. Okay. Yeah, Curse is just another throwaway villain. Kind of on the same level as Laufey. He was kind of strong enough and looked tough, scary in a fight, and then he was gone. Malekith's henchman did more than him. Yeah, so I'm putting him a tier above him. Yeah. Curse was Malekith's henchman, and he goes above him. That's depressing. But that's the truth of the matter. Frigga is, as of Endgame, she's a much better character now. She was pretty throwaway as Thor's mother in the Thor films that she was in, but in Endgame, she had a couple of touching moments with him and became a more useful character. Do I like her as much as Odin? Yes. Yes, I think I do. I think she's on that level after Endgame. But only because of Endgame, really. She was much more throwaway as a character overall in the first 2 Thor films, but that's fine. Then the Warriors 3, they were throwaway. Oh, wow. They were throwaway, and Fandral was recast at one point. I can't differentiate them in my head, really. Volstagg ate and drank a lot more. These two, I don't know, they're both kind of cool guys, right? Nothing. Curse is red and yellow in the comic? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, these guys, I think none of them are unlikable. She's his stepmother in the comics. Oh. Yeah, they're all fine. They're all maybe 4s. 4s for Thor's friends. Valkyrie is a much better character. She was really funny in Ragnarok. She came into it in Endgame. She had a nice growth over the course of Ragnarok. So I'm happy enough maybe putting her as high as like a 7. I like Tessa Thompson well enough. And I'm interested to see what she does from here. Is she going to be in Love and Thunder? I don't know if they're doing anything with that character. She's just kind of leader of the Asgardians on Earth now that are left. They doing anything with that? I don't know if there's any plans. Eitri he's not been a Thor film, but he was a Thor-based character in Infinity War. That was weird. That's because Thor's half human in the comics. Yeah. Eitri. I don't know how high you can put him either. He's probably like a 4. He doesn't really deserve to go any higher. He was a bit character, but he was very interesting and funny, and you remember him. Like you remember the Warriors 3, just about. So, not really throwaway like on the 3s and 2s. Surtur. Surtur was interesting. I liked what they did with Surtur, because he's just a huge, giant, punchy villain. One that once Ragnarok has begun on Asgard, you couldn't have defeated. Hela couldn't. Thor couldn't have, probably. But the scene at the start, that was really funny. That was a really good opening to the film. Surtur really helped out with that. So, I'm tempted to give him a kind 5. It was an interesting character. I don't know if they'll ever revisit him. I mean, is he just standing there now in the ruins of Asgard? He doesn't want to destroy other stuff now that he's huge and all powerful. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Meek. Meek isn't much of a character. It's Korg that makes him funny. He keeps thinking he's dead. Did he die? Is he dead? I don't know. Was he there with them in Endgame? I don't remember. Yeah? I don't know. Anyway, he's not much of a character, but he's not really throwaway either, so he probably belongs on 4 as well. We're really filling up the Thor section. 4 section with Thor characters, but that's fine. Topaz, she was just throwaway indeed. She was Grandmaster's assistant. He wasn't Endgame Meek? Okay, fair enough. Topaz was throwaway in Ragnarok. She was just Grandmaster's helper. She was just this scary-looking lady. May as well have hired Ronda Rousey for the role, for all the acting she had to do. It's a good movie, Kung Fu Panda. Are we still on this, really? Topaz, I'm just going to put on the 3, probably. Korg is a phenomenal character, and without a doubt deserves an 8, because he deserves all of our love. Korg is excellent. Love Korg. Taika Waititi is just a master genius, and he was so funny in Ragnarok, and then again in Endgame. And I just really, really hope that he's in Love and Thunder, but as far as we know, he's just still with the Asgardians on Earth. He didn't come with the Guardians and Thor. Don't know. Meek is female, according to Taika Waititi. Wow. Wouldn't have guessed it. Heimdall he got screwed. Heimdall's another character who got screwed. You got Idris Elba in the MCU. And then what did you do with him? Not a lot. Not a lot. And then his death was just kind of, oh, there we go, at the beginning of Infinity War. So was Loki's. And that was the bigger one that we remember. So Heimdall kind of throwaway death, kind of throwaway character in a lot of ways, but he was there throughout. He was good. He got screwed. Like Sif. So I'm giving him the 5 as well. She was played by the awesome Rachel House. There was a voice actor for Meek, really? For the few noises? Okay. I had to watch many movies. I'm getting the impression. Executioner. Yeah, I love Karl Urban so much, but the Executioner was really not much of a character. He had the whole arc of turning against Hela, but it wasn't really much of a thing. Still didn't really like him very much. He's probably also like a 3, honestly. I don't care for him overly as a character. Hela, I think, is a slightly underrated villain. She was pretty good. Yes, the comedy of the film and how good the film was more down to Thor and Valkyrie and all of them and what they did differently and what Taika Waititi did differently with them. Hela's not one of the best villains in the MCU, but she was good. She was solid. Just after Malekith and after, Loki again and again and again, it was nice to have somebody else there. Someone else. And it was well done. Probably just a 6. Probably a 6. I think that's fair. And then Loki. Well, Loki's got to go on, a 9, right? He's maybe not quite a 10 overall. He did go through the character arc of becoming a good guy by the end. Don't know what character arc they're going to give to him in the Loki TV show or what's going to happen next. But as a character, he just worked. He was a good enough villain in the first Thor. He was a great villain in the first Avengers. He's just such an enduring character in the MCU that really should have died by now at some stage. Well, he has like 1,000,000 times. But he should have been properly killed off by now, but he just keeps coming back. He's so sneaky like that. He's a great character. I'll put him on 9. Now we're into Ant-Man characters next. Sure. No, I meant Grandmaster's assistant. Oh, Rachel House. Right. Okay. Yes, she was. Okay. So yeah, Ant-Man as a character. I'm here for the gaming. Don't really care about the actors. Fair enough. Yeah, Ant-Man. He's probably a 9 as well, right? I think I prefer him to War Machine or Korg. Paul Rudd is great. I love Paul Rudd. He's a great character. And as much as he's better doing the comedic guy in the Avengers team bits than maybe leading his own films, I think he's a good enough lead for the films. And I think he could work better than he does. It's just that the films overall are slightly lacking something. I think the first one was good. Second one, it's very forgettable. But I wouldn't blame that on him. Not so much. I think there just wasn't a lot to the second film in a lot of ways. It's just doing a very specific bit of setting up for Endgame, but it's fine. Hank Pym as a character, he's on the level of like Odin, right? He's not actually that likable, really. But every time you expect him to actually turn into a villain, he doesn't quite. When's Cap? I kind of left the Cap characters right down at the bottom. It was like the big finale. I don't know why. I just did these in random order, really. I was just sorting them out. Hank Pym is probably similar to Odin, I'd say. You don't love him as a character himself, but he's got some funny bits about him. He has like the tank on the keychain. He's funny. I'll put him there. Wasp got screwed. Wasp is a good character. But for 2 films, she's doing the daddy issues thing, the lost mother thing. She hasn't really had much by way of character arcs herself, despite being in the title of the second film. Scott Lang was still very much the main character. She was still more than a love interest, being a hero in her own right, but not any more beloved as a character than Valkyrie or Pepper Potts. So she's a 7, I think. She could go up. They're doing Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Maybe they'll fix up the Ant-Man canon a little bit. Give her something extra. But, yeah. Yeah. Jim Paxton. You know, he's a character that should be less likable than he is. He's the stepdad. He's trying to take over as father to Cassie. Ah, how dare he? But at the same time, he's not. And he's this policeman who's a good guy who tries to give Scott a break when he can. He seems nice. He is throwaway again, despite being in both of the films. So he's probably like a 4. He's probably a 4. Luis is brilliant. Michael Pena, great actor, great character, so funny. I'm trying to think how high you can really put one of these kind of characters. He's probably on the level of like Happy Hogan, right? We can put him on a 6. That's too nice, really. But he's funny. He's really funny. He helps make those films great in his own way. Then, like, there's Dave and Kurt, who are Ant-Man's other friends, who are less. They don't matter. They don't matter. They don't matter very much. They're more like a 3s. It's maybe slightly harsh, but I think so. Ghost wanted to avenge her father, Egghead. His arch enemy was Egghead in the comics. Well, Hank Pym anyway. Ah, really? I didn't know that. Fair enough. Yeah, I kind of think they're kind of throwaway in 3. So is Maggie, really. That man's ex-wife. She you don't dislike her overly, but I wouldn't even put her on the level of Jim, really. She doesn't have much character apart from being worried that Cassie's not okay. That's it. Bill Foster was very throwaway as well. In the comics, he's Goliath, another shape-sizing hero, but he was just there very quickly in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I don't know if he's coming back at all. Lawrence Fishburne, good enough, you know. He's probably just a 3. I don't dislike any of them. If I disliked them or they were in Incredible Hulk, then they kind of go down on 2, but he's more of a 3 probably still. Cassie's a good character. She's going to get very important in the near future because they've cast Catherine Newton to take over the role for Ant-Man and the Wasp 3. It's Ant-Man and the Wasp 2, but it's Ant-Man 3. That's confusing. Yeah, so she's going to become Stature, as she did in the comics, and join the Young Avengers, probably in the MCU. As a character so far, which is mostly just in the Ant-Man films, she's fun and nice as a kid. Probably not as beloved as Morgan Stark, but close, so we'll maybe put her on 6. Spaghetti. Okay. All right. Jimmy Woo's a good character. And again, it is cheating slightly to lean into WandaVision. But he was a kind of funny character even before that. I don't like him as much as I like Darcy. But still, even... probably putting him on like a 5. I'll probably put him on like a 5. Sonny Birch is a throwaway character. He is... Him and Ghost are the two kind of closest things you can get to a proper villain in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He was very throwaway. He's probably a 2. He's probably, yeah. That's. Janet Van Dyne. Yeah. I still remember the scene when Scott fights Cross on the Thomas Train set. Great scene. Ant-Man was very funny. Janet isn't much of a character yet. She might become more so in the future. But for now, you can't really give her much of a score either. She's like a 3. Oh, hi Maria, you want Beauty and the Beast fan cast? Okay. Cool. Peachy is absolutely throwaway. So throwaway. I had to look up who he was. He was in the first Ant-Man in the prison yard with Scott. He was kind of friends with him, but he like fought him. But they weren't really fighting. Yeah, that was it. Whole character. Ghost, I like the actress that does Ghost, but again, that's not a Character hardly there. Is she coming back? Is she going to do anything else? Is she going to be relevant in the third one? I don't know. But she was very, very, very throwaway, incredibly forgettable. So it's harsh to put her on a, well, okay, maybe I'll give her a 4. It's probably kind, though. We need Darren Cross's cousin, William, aka Crossfire, in the MCU, wanting to avenge his cousin. Could happen. Could happen. Could be like a villain for stature, even if he's not in Ant-Man 3. Yellow Jacket, then, is exactly on the level that I'd put Aldrich Killian or Justin Hammer. He is not a great MCU villain. He's your basic first film, so get a villain that's exactly the same power set. That's what that was. And he was fine. Nice enough, Darren Cross, good actor, fine as a villain. Nothing special. Star-Lord. Let's just boink. Chris Pratt is a revelation, and he's so good. He's so good. And Star-Lord as a character makes the Guardian films great. He brings that funky, just bouncy, happy, comedic style. Everything about the Guardians films that is great, and really, especially the first one is so great, is embodied in Star-Lord and in Chris Pratt. So he's a 10 for me, I think. Gamora is very good, especially after Infinity War. She was one of the... You try and think about who were the really main characters in Infinity War. Everyone was in it a lot. But you look at people like Captain America, one of the main characters of Endgame, not Infinity War. Who was the main characters in Infinity War? Gamora was one of them, and she really upped her character in that one in a lot of ways. Overall, I'd say she's a 9. I think she's really great. Yeah. So much character development, learning to love Peter, and now, god damn it, she has to do it again because it's a different Gamora from 2014. It's all but yeah, I like that. I think she's a 9. Drax. I think Drax really, he was the standout of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And some bits in Infinity War as well. He was one of the funniest. He is really funny. He doesn't actually have much character or story arc to him. I wonder if Gamora really died. Oh, I think so. Yeah, he doesn't have like a lot of his own character or story arc. He was one of the people that really talked so much about wanting to kill Ronan, and then said, "Oh, but my family won't really be avenged until I get Thanos." And then he never ended up having any kind of conclusion himself with Thanos at all. So there's no real story arc, but he's so funny that he's got to be an 8, right? Like Korg. There's only quite so high you can put someone for just being funny. But I think that's it. I think that's it. Rocket, again, he kind of has a story arc about learning not to be a dick in Guardians 2. He kind of doesn't really have much fun in Guardians 1. He was around that he was good in Endgame throughout. That really, if you got to stay alive for the entirety of Endgame, that really helped up your character a lot. And as such, I'd be tempted to put him on an 8 with Drax. I don't think he goes higher, but I think an 8 with Drax is fair. Ronan. Yeah, Ronan's just a 5. He's just another throwaway 5 villain. I think that's the standard now. That's the bog standard villain place for the ones that aren't remembered nicely or kindly. They were just there to be the villain. Yeah, Killian, Yellow Jacket, Ronan. These are not very memorable villains. Korath was Ronan's henchman, who is around in the first Guardians. And he's the first one to go like, Star-Lord. That's a great moment. He's got a couple of great moments with Star-Lord. He's a very throwaway character, though, so you're probably... Well, I'll give him a 4. Kind. The Bounty Hunters and Guardians of the Galaxy were written really well. True. Groot. Oh. How high can you put Groot? You know, how high can you put Groot? You can probably be a bit cheeky and give him 9. He's such a great character in the first Guardians, and then he has like the emotional actual sacrifice because he does die and it's a different Groot really that is then in the other films. But then in the other films he's so funny as Baby Groot, and then when he's kind of teenage he's very funny in Infinity War. Overall, I think it's fair. I think it's fair to give him a 9 just about. He's such a great, memorable character. I would get more Howard the Duck in the next Volume 3. I don't. I don't like Howard the Duck. Watcher Informant. So this is the one. This list didn't include all of Stanley's cameos, but it did include this one when he was sitting talking to the Watcher in Guardians 2. But I guess it's got to be representative in our minds of every Stan Lee cameo. So it's hard to give that a 10, but for all the characters he's played throughout, I think we'll give him the 9. All those little bits. It's the most memorable, famous bits. You don't remember the names of any of Stan Lee's characters in the MCU, but you remember that he's there every time, every film, all over the place. So I think that's fair. Give him the 9 overall. Not as the Watcher Informant just, but as all of them. Taserface, yeah, he's along here. All these Guardians characters coming up. The Collector is... You felt like there was always going to be something more to the Collector. He was this really creepy, mysterious guy in the first Guardians. He's like this eternal person. Huge collection of potentially dangerous items. He could be this huge danger to the galaxy. And then nothing happens with him, and then he gets bitch slapped by Thanos, and he just takes the Reality Stone off of him really, really easily. It's not even a fight of any kind. So he is really, in the end, a very throwaway character. One of those loose ends that doesn't really go anywhere in the MCU, at least not so far. So I'm just going to leave him on like a 3. He was very much nothing as a character in the end. Thought there was going to be more to him. Karina is his assistant that touches the Power Stone. She is an idiot, and we don't appreciate idiots around here. Therefore, we shall put her on a 1. Bro, why is Spider-Man there? God damn it, Spaggett. Taserface, some name for a bounty hunter? Very true. Aisha is a character who might actually not be throwaway. She might turn up again in Guardians 3 after having made Adam Warlock at the end of Guardians 2. As a character, she's not very memorable or significant herself. She's a kind of... She's not even a big villain of any kind. She's probably just a 3 so far. She might evolve and do more, but there's no way to know so far. We'll see. Howard the Duck is a horrible character. I hate him. I hate his existence, and I hate that he happens. So I'm putting him in a 1. That is one of my least favourite MCU's post-credit scenes. It's such a ridiculous thing to randomly throw in. It's kind of funny in a way, but at the same time, the fact that Howard the Duck is a real Marvel character bums me out. So yeah. Broker. No. Her accent is nice. Oh, Aisha? It's Elizabeth. Is it Elizabeth Debicki plays her? Yeah, it's fair. Ego. Ego isn't as good a villain. Seth Green voiced Howard, very true. Ego isn't as good a villain as he could have been. He could have been a very great, really memorable villain. Which is surprising, because in the comics, Ego the Living Planet isn't exactly one that you'd imagine working in a film. But he did, and fair play to James Gunn. Guardians 2 wasn't as good as Guardians 1, but Ego worked as a villain better than Ronan. Not a fantastic character overall, though. He could have been better, I think. He could have been better. I'm going to give him the 6. I think he's above our bog standard villain level. But he should have been better, you feel. There's something more they could have done there, and they didn't quite get it. Mantis. Mantis, yeah. That's the most low-key joining of the MCU ever. She just kind of turned up with Ego, and then suddenly she was a main member Guardians of the Galaxy, going forwards, permanently. She is funny. She is funny. Ego was killed by Galactus several times. There you go. Mantis is funny. How high does she go? So far, it would be kind to give her the 8. She's not as funny as Drax or Korg. But I'll give her the 7 quite happily. It's only women on 7. What does that say about me? Well, anyway, yeah. You've got Stacker. Sylvester Stallone's sudden appearance in the MCU as the ship captain. Yep. Who, for some reason, he's not in Yondu and all that, but he's not anything. And I don't know if they're going forwards anywhere with him or any of the other Ravagers, so it is throwaway. It was nice enough to see him there, but he's probably just a 3 as well. Taserface is a delightful, hilarious character. As a villain, he's, there, but he was a very funny character. So maybe we'll be kind and give him a 5. Taserface is memorable. At least as memorable as Ronan the Accuser. Jeez. Kraglin is interesting. He's quite throwaway, but he was kind of in both. He is played by James Gunn's brother. That's why he's more prominent than you would expect a character like that to be. Mantis is sexy in the comics. Okay. Calm yourself, William. Kraglin, I would be willing to give him as high as a 4. You kind of remember that he's there. He's like on the level of Jarvis. That kind of thing. Meredith Quill is a great character. In the very short amount of time we ever see Meredith Quill, you kind of fall in love with her. She's such a carefree, delightful character who really fits the era that she was in. And you just feel like, it hurts. It really just, every time Peter talks about her, it hurts that she's dead because she was so delightful. She just seems so lovely. And that's part of why you really gotta hate Ego in Guardians 2 when he admits he killed her. But there's only so high you can put her for the very short amount of time she was in it. We'll go 5. Yeah. Glenn Close is kind of Nova Prime. She's in charge of the Nova planet. And yeah, the whole Nova thing was thrown away really easily by Thanos. Just saying, oh yeah, took them out. Killed them. They're gone. So all these characters, it's kind of like, oh, they were just really chucked under the bus. They got screwed, all the Nova Corps. And then we might actually see Nova, the character, at some point, coming out of the remnants of that. So we might get more flashback to see Thanos taking out the planet and people escaping or whatever. And we might see some of these characters then. But for now, really throwaway in that first Guardians film. So she'll maybe go 3. And then you are better. John C. Reilly's character was more of a character. So we can have a 4. Nebula. You want to talk about growth in terms of character in the MCU, Nebula. From being just this side piece villain in Guardians 1 to really advancing, repairing her relationship with Gamora in Guardians 2. And then Infinity War, she was around, certainly, but it was Endgame. Actually interacting with Tony Stark, playing the paper thing with him. She was like a major Endgame character throughout, which was a shock. But it really advanced her character a lot. So where does she go? Probably on 8. Probably on 8, yeah. Spider-Man is part of Sony Universe. Yeah, it's very complicated, we know, but he's in the MCU. We need the Sam Alexander Nova in the MCU. Maybe he's a love interest to Miss Marvel. That could be interesting. Omni-Man, bad dad. Ego, terrible dad. They're both pretty bad dads. But yeah, Ego did kill Peter's mother. Omni-Man hasn't done that yet. Anyway, Yondu is another character. Came through and really surprised with how much of a great character he was in Guardians 2. Guardians 2 really upped the character level. How much I like a lot of the characters in the Guardians franchise without being anywhere near as good as Guardians 1. I think he's probably overall in the end a 7. He is a great character. He is lovable. Is he on the level of them? No, not really. Hey, Ross, how's it going? we're we're doing a lot of stuff here. There's a lot going on here. Right, so we're into Doctor Strange characters now, which unfortunately haven't had much chance at advancement since they've still only done one film. Did Doctor Strange. The next year they did the first Spider-Man film. They're going to release in December this year the third Spider-Man film before they got out Doctor Strange 2. Doctor Strange got screwed, guys. But you needed that one film really to establish him for so much that he's a part of in the wider MCU, like in Ragnarok, and then in Infinity War, and then in Endgame. He was never a major character in any of these. He was quite significant in Infinity War, but overall as a character so far from what we've got of Doctor Strange, I can't put him higher than 8. I would like to put him higher. I love Benedict Cumberbatch, and I think Doctor Strange is a really interesting character, but he's kind of one of those significant, serious figures in the MCU and in Marvel Comics that just needs to be there to police the other heroes in a way. So he's kind of a killjoy. And when he's in his own film, even the sequel, he's going to be policing Wanda and all her shit, probably. So, but we'll see. Be interesting to see how that film goes. It's really set up quite well. Other characters around him, I mean, Dormammu. I've come to make a bargain. He did beat Dormammu. Nightmare's got to appear in the new Doctor Strange? Yeah, I think he is. What's the criteria we're ranking them on? It's very confusing. It's not just on power set, so don't try and put him in 10 just because he almost was able to take on Thanos. And he wasn't. I mean, Thanos only had, 3 Infinity Stones at the time? 4? He wasn't really able to take him on. Could he beat Thanos one-on-one without any Infinity Stones? With neither of them having any? I don't know. Dormammu, good character. For what he was. Wasn't a big character. Wasn't a big deal, really. He was a good character. Good enough. He's probably like a 5. If he'd been in it more, he could have maybe beaten out some of these okay villains that we've got on 5, but for all that he was in it, you can't really put him any higher than that. It's an interesting character, though. They could revisit it. Who knows? Christine Palmer. Now, Christine Palmer is, so far, I think she is coming back for Doctor Strange 2, to be fair. But she is desperately, as just a love interest, random character, forgettable. Very forgettable. Having said that, it's Rachel McAdams, so I can't put her that low, so I'll put her on a 4. She definitely goes above Betty Ross. Yeah. Can't really put her at much higher than that, probably. But maybe she'll be significant in the sequel. I doubt it. Yeah. Caecilius was a crap villain. Crap. Whereas Loki? He's on 9. Caecilius... just such a nothing villain. He really was. He barely spoke. He was nothing. Nothing! So maybe he actually goes on 4. That's rough. That's rough. Ironmonger level in terms of main villains. But such a desperate throwaway random villain who was just there because they needed a villain and they didn't want to use Baron Mordo as the actual villain yet. Jonathan Pangborn is a throwaway character. He was in the first Doctor Strange, but he was the guy that left and only used his magic to be able to walk again, and then Mordo stole it at the end, the post-credit scene. He's a throwaway character. He can be like a 3. I don't hate him. Wong's a fun character, for sure. Not the kind of character you would have expected to carry over as much into Infinity War and Endgame, but he did. He just kind of left in Endgame. Just kind of went away. Didn't go after Doctor Strange. We need the Squadron Supreme in the MCU. Interesting. Wong probably goes above the likes of like Happy Hogan. So I'd maybe be kind. It is quite kind. I'd put him on a 7. Let's see. Okay, yeah. Mordo, interesting. Wong is like an 8? No, not quite. He's not on the same level as Doctor Strange. Mordo is the long game in terms of Doctor Strange villains. He's the good guy who helped him out in the first film, but then started turning a little bit naughty. But it doesn't look like he's going to be the main villain in Doctor Strange 2. I think we'll see him around, and it will become clear either by the end or in the post-credits of Doctor Strange 2 that he's going to be the lead villain for the third one. I'd be surprised if we really see much of him in the second one. From what we've seen of him so far, he was a fun character. He was likable, and then you were kind of going, oh my gosh, when he did start turning to the dark side, even though someone who knows what his character's like in the comics, you knew it was coming. I'll put him on a 5. That Britney Spears song is iconic. Okay. Yep. Ancient One. Ancient One wasn't like an overly likable character in Doctor Strange. An interesting character. Powerful character. But then Endgame, the little bit they had with her, made... I don't know. I enjoyed her more considering how much planning and fighting she did come before the Earth prior to Doctor Strange arriving. So I will put her on... yeah, okay, 6. Who would you like to see play Nightmare? They've probably already cast, right? Jude Law is the kind of person I could imagine doing it. Someone like that. She was a bit of a jerk. 1? For Ancient One? No, come on. No. Ancient One is male in the comics? Yeah. A little bit of a change there. Black Panther. Black Panther. Probably not a 10. I think he would have been a 10. If he'd gotten his full, probably 3 films, right, as the lead, I think by the end of it he would have been a 10. Unfortunately, 3, Black Panther was awful? Are you shitting me? What? Ross, you're crazy. No, I think if he'd had the full trilogy and the next 2 films were as or close to as good as the first Black Panther for me, I would have put him on a 10. He wasn't there yet, but a 9 for sure for me. 3. Ross, you're insane. Okoye is also a great character, and she was another one who came over as just a side character in Black Panther. You were surprised at how much she came over to Infinity War and then Endgame as well. So it's quite interesting. I walked out of the cinema. Are you shitting me? For Black Panther? Really? You're crazy, Ross. I don't think anybody agrees with you. And Baku would have become Manape. Yep. Stupid battle tactics? Ross, get out of here. You're crazy. Okoye is a good character. She's good. Overall, so far from what we've seen of her, because we probably will see more of her in the future Black Panther films, I would put her on the level of Wong, actually. I would put her on a 7. Seems fair. Black Panther's mother, Ramonda, is more of a nothing character. She doesn't even show up in Infinity War, even though they're in Wakanda, right? I didn't think you see her. There are a few of these characters from Black Panther, they're just not there at all in Infinity War, and you're like, oh. Or in Endgame. I'll give her the 3. She is throwaway. But you don't hate her. M'Baku is a good character. Just taking what would have been Manape, a simple villainous kind of character in the comics, and Black Panther is better than most Iron Man films. Black Panther's probably better than all the Iron Man films. As individual films, like the first Iron Man it's very good in MCU terms. But Black Panther is pretty great in MCU terms for me. It's got a better villain than Iron Man 1. And Black Panther unquestionably is better than Iron Man 2 or 3, right? Please, nobody argue that. Oh my god. And M'Baku shouldn't have been such a good character. He really came in and became a much better character than you would have expected. So I'll maybe give him a 6. He could be in more going forwards as well. I don't really know what they're planning entirely for Black Panther 2, but it's going to be interesting. The other characters they've got that are likable in that world, you can do something interesting. Ulysses Claw is quite a major Black Panther villain in the comics, and he was kind of there in Civil War, or Age of Ultron, and then he was in Black Panther. He was always okay. If he'd been the lead of the film, he probably would have been going in like the 5 territory with some of these kind of throwaway villains. He wasn't. He's probably just a 4. Oh no, the enemy is going to get 2 or 3 cannon fodder behind us. Let's open the shield and let thousands in, rather than send like one Avenger to deal with the stragglers. Well, okay. All right. That's one way to look at it. If they confirm that T'Challa died off screen, I'd like to see Shuri take her brother's place as Black Panther. I think so. I think she will, probably. They're heading for a lot of the MCU characters for younger versions of them, and Shuri is quite an obvious choice to take over as Black Panther. Unless they do some multiverse shenanigans to bring Killmonger back. Somebody was talking about that at some stage. I doubt it. So I think it probably will be Shuri will be Black Panther. Wakabi is definitely a kind of throwaway character. Daniel Kaluuya's character wasn't really in anything else. Daniel Kaluuya's really good. He just won an Oscar. He really should have been used slightly more than he was, maybe, but he was fine. He was around. He's a 3. He's a 3. So was, Zuri as well. Throwaway. Wasn't in anything else going forwards. And Jobu, I liked him in the flashback we saw him in. That was all he was in. But he's Killmonger's father. He was good. The way he explained that he wanted to take the vibranium from Wakanda to help people fighting for their freedom. Sherry was the only character I liked. Killmonger was a 7. Ross, that is crazy. You're crazy all over, man. I don't believe this. Chaka is another quite throwaway character. He's maybe a 4 as well. Black Panther's dad. Who the hell is Linda? I don't know. You can go 2, because I literally don't remember you, even though I probably looked you up an hour ago. Everett Ross. They just wanted to have a white guy in Black Panther. He was okay. He was okay. You don't want to hate on him too much. He was kind of really dickish in Civil War, though. In Black Panther, he was okay. I love the Nigerian accent the people of Wakanda have in the MCU. Yeah, it's a good accent. Everett's probably a 4 again. Nakia, that's the weirdest one of all, right? I don't care that Killmonger was 7 years old. I wish T'Challa's dad had slaughtered him as a child. Okay. Nakia, you really would have expected Lupita Nyong'o, big actor. You would have expected them to want her coming in again in Infinity War Endgame, right? Not so. Not so. So in the end, she's more than just a love interest. She fights alongside them and stuff and does what she can. She's useful. She's no more than like a 5, probably, right? Yeah. She'll probably come back in Black Panther 2 as well. Killmonger is like -3. What the fuck? Stuff you're saying Black Panther is like someone hitting Kung Fu Panda? No, it's not. No, it's not. Shuri is a good character, okay? Shuri is a good character. Surprised to see her be such a major character, but she was. And she continued to be just a good character, just enjoyable. She's probably around the same as Okoye for me. Probably about a 7, but going forward, she might be pretty major. Might get higher. Killmonger is awful, worst villain ever. I can't tell anymore if you're trolling, Ross, because the things you're saying are insane. I bet they will bring Claw back, as he did end up being reborn as a being made of pure sound when he died in the comics. Possible. No, Killmonger, I think, for me, is one of the very best films in the MCU. Like, probably an 8. Like, that was... It should have just been another, this is the first film for this superhero, so we're going to get a villain that's very similar in power set and style. And it was. But then the character they gave him, the character he did, was so good. Michael B. Jordan's so good that I have to say that's one of the very best films in the MCU for me. Very, very good. Very good. Very good. Very, very good. I don't know what you're talking about, Ross. You've gone crazy today. I'm shocked. Spider-Man is a 10. I, personally, for me, Tom Holland's Spider-Man is the best Spider-Man. I don't love Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I grew up with the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films. I never loved them. I never loved him. I thought they were severely average. And then Andrew Garfield, come on. Really? Tom Holland is the best Spider-Man, I think. I think that's just what Spider-Man's meant to be. He's not meant to be fucking cast as like 25. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were both old by the time they were Spider-Man. Tom Holland was the right age to play Spider-Man and deliver this arc and still going, delivering this arc for him that is everything you want to see Spider-Man's character be, especially interacting with this wider world. So I think he's a 10 for me. I'm so excited for him in the future of the MCU. He's got the most promising future out of any character in the MCU right now. You look at Doctor Strange, you look at the Black Panther films, you look at Captain Marvel. These are the newer franchises that are still coming along. Not excited for any of those as much as I'm excited for Spider-Man 3. You know? And for what he can do as a character going forwards and how much potential there is in that character. They could do a trilogy of trilogies for Tom Holland Spider-Man by the time he's done. So, I think he's a 10, personally. There's a lot of Spider-Man characters here. Oh my gosh. A lot of these are really throwaway. J. Jonah Jameson 10. That's not how the world works, Ross. That's just not how things go down. A lot of these characters that you just can hardly name. You know, Shocker. That's a 3. Abe Brown. That's a 2. Doris Toombs. That's a 2. Come on. Mac Gargan. That's a 3. Jackson Price. That's a 2. These are all just random characters. All of them just from the first Spider-Man film. I don't know why so many of them are here. Didn't go so in depth for much of the other films. Delmar, nice enough guy, 3. Karen was the AI for his first suit for his one in Homecoming, I think. Couldn't have told you that though. Well, we all know a fucking Karen, am I right? That's just another 3 probably. It's fine. It's not memorable. Not as memorable as like Edith even as an AI. That crusade against Spider-Man so iconic. He's the real hero of the franchise. Not of this franchise. He's made fucking 30-second cameo in this franchise so far. We don't count all of the J. Jonah Jameson stuff from the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films where he was the best character. But that's, you know, that's relevant. Betty Brant is slightly more recognizable, but she's still probably just a 3, honestly. 30 Seconds of Pure Gold. Sure, but that doesn't make a 10. Definitely doesn't make a 10. I'm kind of surprised that we haven't seen anything more from Aaron Davis appeared, and it was Donald Glover in Homecoming. And that's a character that then appeared in animated form in Into the Spider-Verse, and is our only thing in the MCU to tell us that Miles Morales might be on the way at some point. But I'm surprised we haven't seen more from him so far. And as Donald Glover, you want him in the MCU. He's awesome. He was funny. He was funny for the little bit he was in, so I'll kind of give him like a 4. I just love Community. I hope we'll get the Spider-Man villain clash in the MCU. Possible. They're always looking for new ways to not just go back to the villains we've already seen on screen. For real. Although they're just bringing back Jimmy Fox. Jimmy Fox is Electro for the next ones. And Alfred Molina's Doc Ock, actually. So, who knows? Who knows what they're going to do? I have no idea. Vulture was an okay villain. Vulture is an okay villain. Is he just a 5 with a lot of these other ones, or is he a 6? I think it's kind to give him a 6. It's harsh to give him a 5, really. I don't think he's on as bad a level as Aldrich Killian and Justin Hammer. Is he as good as some of these characters? Yeah, okay. I'll give him the 6. I'll give him the 6. MJ has to be a 10. Right. I freaking love Zendaya's MJ. I think she's so great. I think she has kind of, even just in the short amount that we saw her in Homecoming and then the more significant role in Far From Home, I think she's already just become the best MCU character that's just a love interest. Because she's not more than that. She is just, she's not like Pepper becoming a hero in her own right, or like Jane about to become a hero in her own right, or anything like that. But she is a great character. I really love her. She really helped make Far From Home fantastic for me. So I'm maybe going to go 8. That's probably higher than she really deserves. I thought Vulture was good. He was fine. He's not really incredibly memorable as a villain, I don't think. But he's better than the bog standard ones. So he's a 6. Best MJ out of the 3. There was only 2. You're thinking of Gwen. Emma Stone was Gwen Stacy in the Andrew Garfield ones. There was no MJ, really. She attacked the drum with a mace. Badass. Very true. Very true. She is iconic. That sarcasm is perfect for the role. Especially since she figured out it was Spider-Man while everyone else is stupid. Yeah. No, she is a fantastic character. Way, way better than Kirsten Dunst's. Yeah. I'm not a fan of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man films, honestly. I'm really just not much. Eh, so yeah. Ned is a fine character as well. He's fine. He's fine. He's the hype man. He's the, oh, you're Spider-Man, woo! And then he just kind of kept going with that and had his own kind of funny arc in the second one as well. So I'll maybe give him a 5. Liz Toombs. God. What a Gwen Stacy, huh? Get out of here, Liz. All we want is MJ. Am I right? I didn't watch the middle film, Spider-Man. It was just not good. I didn't think The Amazing Spider-Man was a bad film. I thought that was fine. I didn't mind Andrew Garfield. I really like Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. Yeah, it's not great. And the second one's bad. Who's a fan of the old Spider-Man films? I mean, a lot of people still are. A lot of people still say Tobey Maguire's the best Spider-Man. I don't think that at all. I thought he was boring. I thought he was too old for the role. I didn't like it much. Dirt, fake MJ, oh god. Liz, yeah, well, she's not a 1, but she is, like, very throwaway and not great as a character, especially when you compare her to the awesomeness of Zendaya's MJ's love interest. So she's maybe just a 2. Flash Thompson's a prick. Oh, God. I kind of get why they include him in one way, but he's a prick. We're putting him on 1. I hit him. Tinkerer was a very throwaway role. He's a proper villain for Spider-Man in the comics, but he was just kind of there very quickly. So he's probably a throwaway kind of 2 as well. I hope we get to see Uncle Ben in the flashback. I don't know. I don't think we need to, because when they first introduced him, he'd been Spider-Man for a little while. He still probably wasn't quite over the grief of it. But they kept going. They kept rolling on. And then Tony died. And Far From Home was a lot about Peter dealing with that and moving on from that. So I don't think we need to revisit the whole Uncle Ben thing. We kind of know what happened. We kind of know already. I love the final scene where after nearly dying, his mother doesn't even care. you know. Brad is another one. Yeah, Brad. Goddamn Brad, guys. Goddamn Brad. He deserves the one. Julius Dell, the teacher, one of the teachers, he was okay. Both of the teachers, Mr. Harrington, Mr. Dell, they were both okay characters. Throwaway, obviously, but in a funny enough way to get at least 3s. Like Betty. Kind of funny characters to have. Edith it's fine. I'd probably put Edith more on the level of like Jarvis and Friday, whereas I didn't even remember that Karen was a thing, honestly, but whatever. Aunt May is actually like great. Marissa Tomei's Aunt May is actually great. Really funny character, from the flirting with Tony at the beginning to just being such a mother to him, even after finding out he's Spider-Man. Brad and Flash are the worst. Very true. Very true. Hate them. Aunt May's actually sick. Really great character. How great? How high can you put her? Maybe a 7. Night Monkey, yeah. As Flash looks out and breaks the MCU wall like Deadpool, you see Flash's soul breaking. Alright. Yeah, I do think May she's such a great character. She's so funny to have around for those films. Dimitri is somebody that was in Far From Home and was very forgettable. One of the S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of, well, not S.H.I.E.L.D. people, but one of Nick Fury, fake Nick Fury's kind of people. Bristow, police officer, it's the same thing. These are unbelievable, forgettable characters. J. Jonah Jameson, that's one of the greatest cameos the MCU has had. That was hilarious, and I really do hope that they have him more in the third Spider-Man film. From what we've seen of him so far in just the MCU, you can't put him very high, but I would put him on 6. See, that's way higher than I should be able to put him for just a cameo, Ross, but there he is. Cannot put him on 10. Mysterio is a great villain. Oh my god. Mysterio is an awesome villain. I remember thinking, Far From Home, they're getting Mysterio, and I guess that'll be okay. I was kind of upset because I really just wanted them to get Norman Osborn in so that they could have him as like a big Loki-style enduring villain for the MCU for the next 10 years. But Mysterio worked really, really well. Really, really well. I rate him higher than Vulture for sure. I don't quite rate him on the level of like Killmonger, but I think he's a 7 as well for me. Great character. It was so good. It was so good. I thought he was fantastic. And I liked the way they handled him without having to have the magic and stuff in the comics. Just doing the science and technology of it. I thought that was so good. Captain Marvel and her characters. She is female Thor, but what he was to the MCU before Ragnarok, before he became funny and had more personality, he was just this big, powerful person with not a lot of personality who somehow kept leading films. I don't dislike Captain Marvel as a character. I don't dislike Captain Marvel as a film. I think it is the right call to do the Marvels, as they're doing. Instead of Captain Marvel 2 strictly, they're doing the Marvels. She'll be the lead, but Miss Marvel will be there, and like Monica Rambeau will probably be there. They need to dilute her, because they haven't done what they did with Ragnarok for Thor, making him funny, giving him personality, making him feel more like he could be a lead. So I'm not going to mark her low. I think she's a fun, fine enough character, but I'm not putting her higher than 7, I don't think. Because I'm not excited by the idea of her as a character leading another film. And I'm glad that they're doing the Marvels and diluting her as the lead. Because I don't see it. I don't see her as a leading force in an Avengers team going forwards. I don't see it at all. We should be getting the Super Skrull now that the Fantastic Four are coming to the MCU. Well, they're doing the Secret Invasion Disney Plus show, which is going to involve the Skrulls and Nick Fury and all that. And I don't quite know what they're going to do with it, but it's going to be interesting. Wherever they go with that, it'll lead more into the history and what the Skrulls are going to be doing in the MCU. Speaking of Skrulls, Talos. He's fine. He's a fun enough character. You expected him to be a bad guy because the Skrulls in the comics often are, and then he wasn't. I like that. I like the character. He's not throwaway. He's definitely going to be in more stuff going forwards. He was in Far From Home in the end. I'm still not going to give him much above like a 4 for now, but I'd be interested to see what they do with that character going forwards. Jon-Rogg. Wow. Oh, I forgot. They can't cast Jude Law's Nightmare or whatever I said because they already had him in the MCU, didn't they? Although, speaking of which, Minerva, that's Gemma Chan, who is going to be basically the lead of Eternals as a completely different character. So maybe they can cast Jude Law's Nightmare. Who knows? Yeah, Jon-Rogg, useless. He was kind of the main villain in the end, and she just destroyed him. There was no epic final battle. There was no really big finale for Captain Marvel as a film. He is useless in so many ways, and I'm putting him on 3. Marvel, kind of the same thing. A lot of these characters from that film I didn't think much of at all. The Supreme Intelligence. This is the problem. Captain Marvel as a character so far is a 7. These are 3s. It's not exactly great. Minerva was a more interesting character in some ways. The only Skrull who can't shapeshift, well, that's why he's a cyborg in the comics. Yeah. Minerva was a more interesting character in some ways. Is she a whole tier higher than them? Maybe 1. Maria Rambeau was a fun enough character. Totally throwaway, though. They only had her so that they could have Monica as a child in the 90s so that she's an adult now. And Monica, so far, if you don't really include WandaVision, she was fun in the one film. They were both kind of... Maybe Maria's more a 5 so far. Monica, if you include WandaVision, is probably higher, so... Okay, we'll put them both on 5. Alright. That seems fair. Goose the cat is Marvel's character. Same thing as J. Jonah Jameson. You can't really put it like really high, but hilarious character. Very funny. Oh, look, it's Thanos. Oh, where'd he go? It's about time we put Thanos on 10. Guys, Thanos is the villain. Not just because they wanted him to be the villain, but because he is the villain. He ended up being perfect in every way. Infinity War, he was the leading character, and that's one of the best MCU films. He's the main character of Infinity War. He is. It's none of the Avengers. How many animals on the team? What do you mean? Thanos is the best villain. He really, Infinity War just made him such an incredible character. I thought he was fantastic. Josh Brolin was so good at him. Goose is the reason for Nick being blind in that eye. Yep, did that in the film. So yeah, I think Thanos is a 10 overall. You know, just yeah. His friends though, the Black Order, those four, they're useless. They were there to provide the Avengers with a challenge that had more of a face than the random faceless armies of Thanos, until he got there, which was so close to the end of Infinity War, you know. None of them are awful characters, but none of them have much character. They're villain. They're oh. So I'm just going to put them all on 3, really. None of them really deserve any higher than that. And then that's Captain Marvel's people, and then Thanos and his people. And then there's Hawkeye's characters, which until the Hawkeye show is released is just his family. He's got 3 kids. How is he going to go gallivanting about with Kate Bishop? I don't know, but I'm really looking forward to him. Really excited. Hawkeye as a character has fluctuated a lot over the years. He was nothing really in Thor when he was introduced. He was shafted in the Avengers, and then he was great in Age of Ultron. Really great. One of the very biggest standouts of Age of Ultron. Then they left him out of Infinity War entirely. But then they did some good stuff with him in Endgame. So they really... Yeah, they're on, off with him in Avengers films. Hopefully the show is good. I really hope it's good. It's based on one of my favourite comic book runs in Marvel ever. Overall, as a character throughout the MCU, I don't think you can put him any higher than 8. I think he's good. Nick Fury used to be white in the comics and lost his eye from a gun wound. Yep. His children... They're children, so we won't be mean. We'll give them 3. 3 is a huge category now. Look at that. 4 lines. Oh dear. Yeah. A lot of these characters are just throwaway characters, and 3 is a big place for throwaway characters for me. So they're nothing. They're there to be like, oh my gosh, unlike the comics, Hawkeye has this family. And that kind of screws them for the Hawkeye series, because in the Matt Fraction run in the comics, he didn't have any kind of family, so I don't know how they're going to deal with the family, but it's fine. His wife is more of a character. Linda Cardellini is great, and just lights up the screen when she's on it. Love her. She could be a 4, but no more than that, because that is kind, because she is also an absolute throwaway character that just went, oh look, Hawkeye's got this going on. He had a character all this time. You didn't know? Ha ha ha. Yeah. Black Widow. Black Widow. You know, she's probably a 9. Natasha's lost several love interests in the comics, which were Clint and even Steve Rogers. Natasha in the comics has had a lot of love interests. Daredevil at one time. Lots of them. Yeah. I think overall in the MCU she's a 9. Don't quite know how the film's going to play out, how well that's going to do. But just the development. She was a fun character in Iron Man 2. She stood out quite well in the first Avengers. She, the Hulk thing was a thing in the second Avengers. Captain America Winter Soldier, like the best character. She was incredible in that. I loved her in that. And then in Civil War she was great as well. And then she was not a big character in Infinity War. Her, Falcon, Captain America, that whole team, they weren't very big in Infinity War. But then she really stood out in Endgame again, hugely. And some people think it's a throwaway death after all this time for her. I don't think of it like that. I think it was an important death. I think they would have been really, shafting Gamora's loss in Infinity War if they hadn't had something similar happen in Endgame. They needed to. But anyway, I think she's a 9. I don't think she's quite a 10 overall for me. But I think she's definitely a 9. If she'd had films before now of her own, she could have been a 10. In addition to everything else she's done. But it's so interesting, the relationship she has. She's so close to Hawkeye. She's dated Hulk. And she was introduced with Iron Man in Iron Man 2. And she was such a huge part of Winter Soldier and Civil War of two Captain America films. You know? Coulson is now dead for real. I guess so. If Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't canon anymore, then he just died in the first Avengers, as far as the MCU is concerned now. Whoopsies. Madam B is the weirdest entry on this list that it actually put in. Considering that it hasn't put in every single MCU character. It's not put in every character who's named. But she was in Age of Ultron in the flashbacks Natasha had to the Academy or the Red Room or whatever. So there's a chance Madam B turns up in the Black Widow film. It's unlikely. But she was there. She was incredibly throwaway to the point that I can't even believe she's here. Captain America is a 10. Captain America, as this paragon of good Boy Scout character, like Superman, shouldn't be that exciting on his own. And yet, it's the best trilogy. It's the best MCU trilogy. The Captain America films. First Avenger is underrated. It is great. People talk about Phase 1 films as being fine. The first Iron Man, the first Captain America are both great MCU films still today, I think. And then Winter Soldier and Civil War are both unbelievably good. And as a character, he does evolve and he does grow. And then he's got the best cyclical journey throughout the first three phases of any character. Better than Tony, I think. Tough to say. Tony becomes that guy willing to sacrifice himself over over many films. But Steve just having that journey all the way back to Peggy at the end of Endgame, that is an unbelievably perfect ending. So I'm just gonna. He's the trilogy, the Trinity. It's the MCU Trinity. They're the MCU Trinity, and they are all 10s for me. What else? Peggy, great character. God, it's cheating kind of to count the not really canon anymore, maybe Agent Carter show. But I really enjoyed it as a show. I enjoyed her as a leading character. I thought she was fantastic. I love Haley Atwell. She feels like more than a throwaway love interest. As a character overall throughout it, it is hard to mark her too highly, but I'm going to give her the 7. I like her as much as I like Pepper Potts as a character. Yep. There's some throwaway kind of Captain America people here, but they're not as throwaway. Swordsman and Tigra would be cool to have in the MCU. Yeah, true. Jasper Sitwell is around at times. He's kind of useless, but you know the name and you recognize him faster than a lot of these twos, so I'll give him a 3. Abraham Erskine, similar. He's only in it very briefly, but that's because he dies so quickly after helping him become Captain America. He's similar in some ways to the Captain America version of Hoganson is for Iron Man. But he's maybe not quite as good a character overall. I'll give him the 4. Arnim Zola, complete throwaway, useless villain. Give him the 3. Gideon Malik is actually... He's mostly just in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he did appear in Avengers, the first Avengers. But he's so throwaway that, like, wow. Like Madam B level where I'm almost just going 1 because he's so nothing in the films. Chester Phillips is a fun character. That's true. He is fun. He's the kind of person who I might give a 5. Yeah, he was a fun character to have around. You knew that was a one-off. You knew he wasn't an important Marvel character. But he was fun to have around. I liked him. Dum Dum Dugan is kind of similar. He was fun to have around. You knew he wasn't going to be in the future there. But he's more important in Marvel Comics. Maybe not quite as fun as him. Maybe I'll leave him on the 4. They could have done more with Dum Dum Dugan. Like in the Agent Carter show or something. And they didn't really so much. Pierce. Quite a throwaway villain, really. Winter Soldier was the main villain of that film. The interesting one. Pierce is probably another 5. He was around. It was fine. 5 is slightly kind, but we'll leave him there. That's okay. Batroc is a villain who... I'm surprised they didn't use more. They used him briefly in just Winter Soldier. They could have used him more. He's Batroc the Leaper. He's quite a significant Captain America villain in the comics. They only used him briefly. They could have done more with him. I'll leave him on a 3. Cameron Klein is... Did Zemo appear in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series? Yep. Cameron Klein is a character who was in Winter Soldier, and he was just this guy who stood with Captain America in S.H.I.E.L.D. when Crossbones started going after, trying to make him launch the helicarriers. And then he also appeared suddenly in Age of Ultron and was working now with Nick Fury and Maria Hill. They trusted him, and he was on the helicarrier that came to help in Sokovia. And then they mention him as well. They say Call Klein before they both get dusted in Infinity War. So he might appear again. Like, he's what should have been a throwaway character, but they just keep bringing him back randomly for fun continuity things. But I mean, he's still no more than a 3, really. Yeah. Wolfgang von Strucker. Complete throwaway villain. Absolute nothing. Just a 3 for him. And now we've got the last batch of some interesting ones. Batroc speaks with a French accent. Bucky, he's got a lot of character development. As much as we haven't followed it as a story until Falcon and the Winter Soldier as closely as you really could have, with how interesting it's been, he was just this throwaway side character in the first Captain America. The death was hard on Steve. And then he comes back. Great villain. Great villain character with the redemption thing hiding in the background in Winter Soldier. And then Civil War. It's all because of him. God damn it, you cheeky. Whoa. But the way his characters continue to grow and develop and now become as much of a leading character as Sam will be going forward. The two of them, even though Sam's Captain America, Bucky's going to remain a kind of a duo with him more than when it was Steve and Bucky. Very much Steve and Bucky, but Sam and Bucky, it's kind of more like a partnership, a proper partnership. I think overall as a character so far, he's probably an 8. I can't put him above Hawkeye, I don't think, or some of them. I can't put him on 9, but an 8 seems fair. I'm excited to see Taskmaster. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting film for them to tackle. I like the fact that because Black Widow it's a film that's not going anywhere. They might have Florence Pugh's Yelena become the new Black Widow going forwards in the MCU. That might be an important thing from it. But generally it's a bum film that's not really got any point as far as the wider MCU is concerned. So I like the fact, and I'm surprised at the fact, that they're taking quite a significant, interesting, cool villain from the comics in Taskmaster for the film. Giving her a good one, since Black Widow in the comics doesn't have that many great villains of her own. And fighting a giant pufferfish. Okay. It's still better than most Iron Man villains. Fair. Zemo. Oh, and now this is kind of cheaty as well to use Falcon and the Winter Soldier and his appearance in that. But after that, I freaking love Zemo. He didn't need to do much to be the main villain of Civil War. Tony was the real villain of Civil War. But what the way the character is, the flaws he has, but the realistic almost way he views the world, the harsh realism of it, I love that, and I really do hope they use him going forwards. They shipped him off to the raft at the end, right? Eventually. So I could definitely see him leading like a Thunderbolts team, which is basically Marvel's Suicide Squad. I think overall, as a character now, as we know him, he is great. Like, great. So I will put him on a 7. He could go higher, though. If they use him more, similarly to how they have been doing, he could go higher. Falcon / just Sam Wilson. So, new Captain America. I think what we've seen from him so far, I don't like him as a character as much as I feel like I should. I'm okay leaving him on a 7 so far. Maybe they do a Captain America 4 film now that he's Captain America properly. Maybe it goes really well. Hopefully, because it's going to be considered amongst the franchise, the trilogy, the epic Captain America trilogy we've got so far. And if it's a bum entering the MCU, it's such a shame. But I just think I struggle still to believe in him as a leading man. The character is just this paragon of good kind of character. And despite dealing with the race issues and some other stuff in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I still don't see him as having had the kind of growth as a character that made Steve so great. Falcon in the comics has a pet falcon named Redwing. Yeah, it's a drone in the MCU. So yeah, Falcon, I still don't think he's there yet, Sam, as a big leading character. And I think they really want him to be. But it's not quite there for me. Crossbones as a villain, they could have done more with, but he was kind of fun when he was around. He was interesting enough. He's like a 4. He wasn't really a main villain ever, but he was interesting enough as a character. Sharon, I hate where they're going with Sharon Carter's character. If you base it on the films alone and not on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, then I liked her well enough in Civil War. I thought she was fun. I thought that was going to be a nice love interest for Steve going forwards. But I much prefer the fact that they let it back round to Peggy. From what we've seen overall, I think she's a 5. Yeah, I hope it goes up, but it's more likely to go down, honestly, from where she's headed. Red Skull was an okay villain. Red Skull is one of the most notable Marvel villains in the comics overall. I feel like he should have been better. But he was fine. He was good. He was good enough. I think he's better than the bog standard just about. So he's a 6 for me. And then this kind of last batch is really just other characters. They don't really fit in with any of those heroes so much. Coulson was a delightful character in the Avengers. He was so funny asking Captain America for his autograph and stuff. Overall, you can't really give him higher than like a 6. He's kind of on Happy Hogan level, probably. Obviously, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., he was great in that for so many years, but if it's not canon anymore at all, then probably shouldn't count that, really. Maria Hill is less useful. She becomes like the leader of S.H.I.E.L.D. at one point in the comics and becomes quite major after Nick Fury kind of dissipates, but he never did it. Never dissipated. So, she just kind of never became quite as beloved in any way as Coulson for me. Quicksilver, yeah, that Quicksilver, not much of an anything in the end. They just let X-Men have him, and they took Scarlet Witch. It was fine. It was fine. It was fun enough. If they'd continued with him as a character, I don't think it would have gotten much better than where he was. But he's got a kind of 5. He was just a one-off character in the end, despite being like quite a major hero in the comics. Whoopsies. Wanda, however, and it's cheating, I know, to include the TV. We're not really doing that, but especially after WandaVision, I think it's easy to give her the 8. And God knows where they're going with that character. There's a lot of interesting stuff to come. She's going to be really major going forwards. Are you excited to see Henry Cavill as Captain Britain? I don't know. That's another character who could be just one of those paragon of good kind of characters, like Sam and like Steve. And they did enough with Steve that it worked. And they haven't, for me, done enough with Sam that it really works yet. So, I don't know. I'll have to see it. Henry Cavill can be amazing. Henry Cavill can also be the plain toast Superman that doesn't really work all that well, you know? Who knows? Vision. I mean, Vision's not quite on the level of Wanda overall. Maybe. Well, no, maybe he is also an 8. Just based on WandaVision, they're both so great in that as characters. I love them both. And from what you see, you never quite got to see them fully as characters before that. But if you include that, then they're both definitely at least 8s for the MCU overall. And finally, finally, this is another long one. Nick Fury, you gotta go high for Nick Fury. If you think about Captain Marvel, he was the best character in that. You think about just all the appearances throughout. You think about how funny he was at times in Age of Ultron. You think about bringing the team together in Avengers. You think about that first appearance in Iron Man that told you the MCU was a thing. I think you gotta give him the 9 overall. Probably not the 10, though. He's never quite had his own thing. Secret Invasion, upcoming. He's going to be one of the main characters in that. So maybe in that we'll really advance him somewhat more. But as a character on his own, he's just this mysterious spy guy, isn't he? Who just turns up at times. It's never like a huge character on his own. But that is it. That's it. Oh my god. My voice always aches. My voice always aches by the end of these. But thank you guys for checking it out. I hope you enjoyed. That was a mental one. God damn, that was just too much. But yeah, not a lot of real ones. There's no big characters there who I actually hate that much in the MCU. I find the characters likable. I find the villains at least bearable. Except for Whiplash. Him and Malekith, they were close. They were close. Maybe they do deserve ones. But no, I'll keep it there for now. Yeah, I think it's pretty fair in general. I think it's obvious. It's the guys who have had their own trilogies and have had all that character development that are the tens. Star-Lord is just great for me personally. I think he's so fantastic and so lovable as a character, and Chris Pratt as an actor is perfect for him. Spider-Man, he's about to become the fourth pillar of the MCU, the fourth one to get his own trilogy by the end of this year. Tier list at all Godzilla monsters? Oh god. And Thanos. Thanos is just the villain. He's the villain across the MCU as a whole. And he was that good. He was as good as the build-up deserved him to be. And Infinity War was his film. So yeah, but thank you guys so much for checking this out. I hope you enjoyed today's stream. I do not know what we'll be doing next for one of these, but you know what? It's going to be interesting, whatever it is. And until then, thank you guys. Please check out more stuff on the channel, and I'll see you later.